G'day, welcome to my channel. My name's Chris and this is another cycling commentary video, and it has been a while since I've made one of these. I should definitely be making more. They are a fun format of video. In this one I'm going to be cycling from Bathurst train station, which you saw just earlier, to Bunnings in Kelso, which is a neighbouring suburb very close to Bathurst. Now when I'm at Bunnings, I'm going to see how much I can fit on my bike. This isn't going to seem like a big load if you've done this before. So right now I'm cycling across Havannah Street, which is 60 kilometers per hour, zero bike infrastructure, often has parked cars on the side. It's not an ideal situation, and there is a certain amount of temptation to take the back streets. But that would add a bit of a detour to the ride since I have to get back on Havannah Street anyway. Now, I think in a situation like this, where there is a 60 kilometer per hour street that is pretty clearly not suitable for biking along and there's not really a clear alternative, a shared path is usually, that would be the way to go here, I think. Something nice and wide with good signage so people know to look out. Now, normally if we were in Sydney, I would 100% be advocating for a cycleway along here. But I do think from the perspective of money and political will, I just think that once you get out of Sydney and Canberra and the kind of capital cities, that's not so realistic at this stage in regional Australia, as much as I think people would definitely use it. I do see a couple of people cycling just on this quick ride already. Now I'm up on the footpath here. The reason I wasn't on the footpath before was because it, ran along driveways and house entrances and things like that. This part of the footpath only runs along an oval. So while it is still just a footpath, it's usually not so busy. There usually aren't people walking on and off it. So I feel like it's pretty safe for riding, and certainly safer for me than being on the road. As you can hear on the terrible GoPro mic, it is pretty windy today. I haven't got the pedal assist going because I believe on the way there the wind was behind my back. I'm not going to show the ride back from Bunnings because that might get a bit repetitive, but you can probably guess that on the way back I was using that pedal assist going into the wind. In fact, I might use it later on in this ride. Now, the path has turned into a shared path. It doesn't have the proper signage. I don't know that that's a huge deal. I feel like signage is pretty overrated when it comes to infrastructure. But what is important is that the path widens nicely and you have that bike lamp at the crossing, so it's pretty clear that, you're allowed to ride your bike across the crossing and that you can expect a decent amount of infrastructure on the other side, at least a shared path. Now, I did cut out the waiting time at the lights for obvious reasons, but it did take a minute and a half, and that's out of a 10-minute trip. That's 15% of the trip being spent waiting at one set of traffic lights. Well, there are two traffic lights I will encounter on this ride. Both of them are along this road, the Great Western Highway. Yep, A32, Parramatta Road. It's inescapable. I moved out of Sydney purely so I could escape Parramatta Road and I wouldn't have to keep making 20-minute videos about it. But here we go. Basically just Parramatta Road. Some things never change. Now, there is a more direct way to get to Bunnings than the one I'm about to take, but that involves cycling all the way along the Great Western Highway, like hugging it, pretty much. Not very pleasant. So instead, I'm going to ride over this historic pedestrianised bridge called Denison's Bridge. The river I'm riding over is the Wamble River, or the Macquarie River. But yeah, it's quite a spectacular view. This is a really nice ride. This is where, for the rest of it, we're on shared paths by the river surrounded by trees. As I'm sure you can see, it's autumn. We've got some leaves falling all around, which is autumn is a really lovely time of year to ride a bike around. Not too hot, not too cold. Not that it gets too cold pretty much anywhere in Australia. All you gotta do is put on some gloves and a jacket and you'll be right. There's no snow or anything to worry about in pretty much every major town. But it's great weather for riding. And you know what? Not that it gets too hot anywhere either. I perhaps Queensland and the Northern Territory, that would be a different situation. WA, different situation. Sydney, it certainly doesn't get too hot. On an acoustic bike, perhaps a different story. When I used to have an acoustic bike, I would often show up pretty sweaty. Have to take a shower before work after riding there on my acoustic bike. That was in part due to the hill on the Anzac Bridge, but also due to the heat. But with an e-bike, not only do you not have to exercise to the same degree as you would on a regular bike, you pretty much get free wind cooling, right? Like a fan in your face the whole time. It's really nice. So this is a shared path, but it's an old shared path, right? So it's not built to the same standards that the New South Wales Cycleway Design Toolbox, which is a more recent publication, advises. So the Toolbox advises, I believe, 4 metre wide shared paths. This is definitely not 4 metres. And you can see that it does make it not difficult by any stretch of the imagination, but a little uncomfortable overtaking people, and I'd imagine a little bit uncomfortable being overtaken as well. Bunnings trip done. You can see I'm packing it all into the panniers. These are good panniers. They're Tern brand. Tern is basically the brand that did like the high-end version of my bike, but I got the Tern panniers because they are pretty strong. They hold a decent amount. As you can see, I've got some soil there, got some little bits and bobs. I would advise always bring an Oki strap with you if you have a cargo bike. It is invaluable. So essentially, I just followed the same route back home. I wasn't carrying a whole lot of stuff, like a whole lot of weight. It's maybe easily under 20 kilos, so I didn't notice the weight at all. It was a really chill ride, a lot easier than perhaps some would expect. And that's why I'm making this video, really, just to showcase how easy it is, how pleasant it is once the infrastructure is there. You know, once I got off that 60 kilometre an hour road and onto the shared path. It was just like the kind of thing that most people would do for leisure, and I'm lucky enough to be able to do it as an errand as well.